today's video. How was your week? Hope it was beautiful.
It's the season of love over here, and contrary to your expectations, we'll not be talking about love. We'll actually be talking about the loss of it. So, on today's episode, we're talking about a topic that has affected everyone in the world to an extent. Everyone has felt this thing, and then everyone has experienced it. So what is that? Today we'll be talking about grief. Now, what is grief? Grief is a natural reaction to loss. Individual grief experiences are different from person to person. Now, when you experience loss, when you lose someone who is valuable to you, or lose something that is valuable to you, you are going to be plunged into grief. This is something that you shouldn't be stuck in, because if you get stuck in any of the stages of grief, that's where the problem is, because it could lead to depression. So, what are the forms of grief, and how can we manage our grief so that we don't end up in depression? We have anticipatory grief. Now, this develops before a significant loss. Most times we get scared before the main thing actually happens. A loved one could be sick or terminally ill, and then you start experiencing anticipatory grief because you're wondering what could happen when the person dies. The second form of grief is disenfranchised grief. Now, this is grief that occurs when your loss is devalued, stigmatized, or cannot be openly mourned. Now, some people, when you're grieving over something, they feel that you don't have a right to grieve over that particular thing, or that it's too small for you to grieve over. For example, I lost my dog at some point, and that day in school I was really sad and I couldn't cope for a few days. So some people would have seen that as too minute to grieve over. Now, let me say this, nobody has a right tell you what to grieve over or what not to grieve over. So this enfranchised grief occurs when people start making you feel that your loss is too small to be grieved over. Complicated grief. This is when the loss has left you stuck in a state of bereavement. You're not getting better, you're just stuck in a particular stage. That is complicated grief. The last form of grief is absent grief. This is a form of complicated grief in which a person shows little or only few signs of distress about a loss. Wonder if you've met such people. These people, they just show no signs of grief over their loss. They just lock up, in our local parlance. They lock up and act like nothing has happened, like it's not touching them anywhere. That is actually a form of denial, and it can be registered as absent grief. Now, these people go through a loss even more than the ones who express their grief. So, having known the forms of grief, it is important that we get some noteworthy things about grief. Now, grief is the sadness and loss you feel when something or someone is taken from you, and nobody has a right to tell you how long you should grieve for or when you should stop grieving. Everyone has individual experiences. Grief can be termed an individualistic experience. So, it is just like when the emotional wiring in your circuits, in your body system has been blown up at the same time, and then a lot of things are happening. You can feel sad, unhappy, you just feel a wide range of emotions while experiencing grief. Now, you have to be patient with yourself and allow the process of grief to naturally unfold. We'll be delving into the stages of grief very soon, but this is not in chronological order. You can experience the first one and then move over to the last one. Some people experience just the first stage of grief. They don't complete the stages, and they are fine. So, like I said earlier, this is an individual experience. So, what are the stages of grief? First stage of grief is denial, and this is an unwillingness to accept the tragedy that has happened. Most times when stuff happens, we just live in denial. We just say no, 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 it's not true. I refuse to believe it's not true. That is the first stage of grief. You deny what has just happened. So the second is anger, and this anger takes two forms. First is anger turned outwards towards others. Like we feel, okay, we are angry. Why did this person do this to prevent this from happening? Also, we just get angry at everybody. We are just mad at everybody in the whole wide world. That's the second stage of grief. And then under that, we have anger and guilt turned inward, blaming oneself for what just happened. Sometimes stuff happens and we're like, if only I had done this. I blame myself. I'm responsible for what just happened. I feel bad because I know I caused this also. That is another stage of grief. The next is bargaining. Sometimes when stuff happens, we are like, if only I had done this, if only this had happened, this wouldn't have happened. We're trying to bargain with ourselves, maybe our past selves, our future selves, and our present selves. We're trying to just make bargains. If only I had done this, or if only this had happened this way, then this wouldn't have happened. The last stage is genuine grief. In this last stage, the impact of the loss hits the grieved person with full force. Now, the grieved person can finally deal with the grief and resolve it. Grief is important actually, contrary to what you think, because it helps you discover a new version of you. Have you ever experienced a sort of trauma and then after it, you just feel like you've just been born anew? You're a new person with new sets of beliefs and everything. So that's what grief does to you. One of the things grief does to you, it helps a new version of you to come alive. The next thing grief helps you to do is that it also helps you to process things and emotions to avoid falling into depression. Now, if you don't go through these stages of grief without getting stuck in anything, you'll never be able to process your emotions properly. So grief is actually something that helps you to process these emotions. You're allowed to get mad, get angry, get sad, get pissed off, and then finally walk through everything that has happened, all the events that have taken place, and resolve it. That's what grief does for you. Now, how can we deal with this grief? Remember I said earlier that grief is an individual experience and nobody has the right to tell you exactly how to go through your stages of grief or how you must deal with grief. Different people have different ways of dealing with grief. Someone said, I can only tell you how it felt for me. My pain wanted to come out in such a rush. It was like the opening of my voice was not big enough. My heart hurt. I didn't think it was a real thing, but when I felt it, I knew. That's from Rachel. How can we deal with grief? First, you need to acknowledge your pain. I call it feeling your feelings. You need to accept that this has happened, and yes, I'm feeling bad about this. This has happened. It's actually happened. So acknowledge it and stop denying it. That is the first step towards dealing with grief. Next is that you should accept that grief can trigger many different trapped emotions. You could just be sad about one thing and then it will just be like all the bad things that have happened to you, all the sad memories just came crashing your party. So that's how grief happens. Everything, just remember everything at once. Also understand that your grieving process will be unique to you. You must not go through any other person's process. Seek out support from people who care about you. This is not the best time to isolate yourself. Once you are going through something or you are going through grief, you are supposed to connect with people who love you, who can provide a shoulder for you to lean on. You are supposed to seek out your support system and let them provide you with love and care and help you to feel much more valued and help you understand that you are more than what just happened. For example, when I was going through something, I had a lot of friends, though I'm not really the friend-keeping type or the extrovert, but I had a few people who I could confide in and who cared about me. So I just connected with them and they helped me see some things, consoled me, and it was like something that sped up the process of grief. I didn't get stuck in any of the phases. So seek out support from people who care about you. You can also seek out support from a counselor or a psychologist. Never get stuck in this phase or in this mindset where you don't ask for help. You need to know when to ask for help and do it. Nobody's going to kill you for asking for help. You also need to support yourself emotionally by taking care of yourself physically. When you feel good physically, it will affect your emotions. So when you are going through grief, it's a time to take care of yourself. Actually, take care of your appearance. You don't need to wear sackcloth and put on ashes for people to know that you're going through something. Take care of yourself, hang out, buy things for yourself, do fun things that make you happy. It could be hanging out with friends, it could be shopping, it could be writing, as is my case, it could be reading, or just doing community service or helping other people or volunteering. Just do something that makes you absolutely happy. This last one is like the most important. You need to find comfort in your faith. So God is actually a very important part of the grieving process. God doesn't just want to be part of your happy moments. He wants to be there in your grieving moments too. So when you involve God, He helps you know that you are worth more than that to Him. You are worth more than what just happened to Him. And you meditate on scriptures if you're a Christian, or just find comfort in your faith. Know what God has said about you. For example, He has said He will never leave you nor forsake you. That will give you some comfort if you are going through something and you know that at least there's somebody who cares about you. So when you're going through something, don't forget to seek out what God says about you. Get closer to Him. Let the grieving process be a process that will bring you closer to God. Thank you very much for staying till the end. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give a thumbs up to this video if you enjoyed it. So I found out that the topic grief is actually a very wide one and is non-exhaustive. So let me know in the comment section below if you want us to talk about grief in-depthly. I talk about grief in different situations, like grieving over the loss or death of a loved one, grieving over a relationship, or the loss of a job. So let me know in the comment section below. You can also let me know your experiences and what you think we should add to this series. Thank you very much. Bye. See you in the next video.